putting you in context of a real world business situation. We use this every day. So the last time I was in here, there were some folks that was more technically oriented. I'm going to ask you some questions in a second, but it was a technical group, and a couple of them had internships with Amazon. And so they were kind of going, oh yeah, they were talking about that. I remember that, right? So if I can I get, trying to figure out an easy way to do this. I'm going to just use some random picking. I just kind of want to get an idea of who's in the audience, what your major is or your background is or something like that. So in other words, what I'm really looking for is, do I have technologists in here? Do I have English majors? Do I have social science majors? Do I have environmental engineering majors or something like that? So are any of you in environmental sciences in any way? So you are, okay, great. Anyone else? Raise them high, because I'm old, I can't see far. So great. And then how about some more of the arts and sciences majors, the core ones? Sociology, English, something like that. Anybody in that area? It's okay, they're great majors. I was a political science major, by the way, and here I am at AWS, so thanks for that. Do we have any civil, electrical, mechanical engineers? Okay, great. So we're going to talk about sustainability. And so I'm going to ask 3 people to give me what they think sustainability is about. And everybody's now looking down. I don't want to be called on, don't call it. And that's who I'm going to call on, the people looking down. So if you look down, I'm calling. Start looking down. So how about you here in the UCI sweatshirt? I need to get one of those, by the way. So what's sustainability?
Sustainability for me is to, and this is for the live stream, it's not amplified.
Sustainability for me is to not create any carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases.
Okay, great, super. You're going to do that for me, thank you. Oh, I like that.
Okay, so sustainability is more than just energy. It's more than just water. It's more than just something like that. We can reach out to like different areas like education, like welfare. It's all about sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to get one more over here. Thanks.
Not depleting the source.
All right, all right.
Fill in your blank for the source, right?
So I'm going to ask you one more question. Does anybody have any idea what sustainability means to Amazon?
Cardboard boxes.
Cardboard boxes, recycle.
That's a problem.
Anything else? How about
jumbo jets?
Jumbo jets.
You don't need a bunch of computers. You could just have digital computers, like the virtual machines.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of. Carbon footprint. That's one of the cores. Go ahead, say that again, yeah.
Like providing the tools to help build a sustainable future and not just providing the stuff itself.
Yep, you bet. So what sustainability broadly is at Amazon is all of that. So we ship stuff. We got trucks. We've got ginormous computer centers that, you know, I've never been in one. They won't let me because they're really locked down and secure. But we do things like make sure that or set goals where we are water positive by 2030. That's one of our actual company goals. So we're trying to get ourselves, we're actually giving water back, and we use water, you know, in all the normal places, but one of the places where we generate it is in those big data centers where we've got all this cooling going on underneath. So we develop condensation, we keep the condensation, we recycle that, and so forth. And we're hoping we get there so we can actually give back and not deplete the Earth's resources, right? So this is really, I'm not really here to teach you about sustainability. What I'm here to teach you about is really what we were talking about before and how we have gotten to the point where one day some guy was sitting around in his garage, Jeff Bezos, and he thought it'd be really cool to, you know, get people books faster, better than going to a bookstore. And so he started packing boxes of books in his garage, and the number of books he was able to sell that way grew. And then all of a sudden he said, well, shoot, you know, I'm selling books. Why don't I sell, I don't know, what do you call them, teapots? You know, I've actually bought this great teapot from Amazon years ago before I was a Amazonian, as we call ourselves. And then that grew to the point where we did things like, have you ever heard of Prime Day? Does anybody participate in Prime Day? It's crazy, isn't it? Do you know how many people participate in Prime Day? Anybody? I do not, but it's a bunch. It's a lot, and it varies. But so what we had to do was figure out at Amazon how we were going to take a level of online orders, and it was probably more like this, but for reference sake, it was a flat level of orders. And then all of a sudden Prime Day came. What do you think happened? It just went through the roof. It was like 100 times the orders because things were really, really inexpensive. And so what does that mean? We have to have the computers to handle that load, because if we don't, then you're not going to come back to Amazon anymore, right? You're going to go, those guys are nuts. Let's go somewhere else, right? So we had to figure out, first of all, how to have that footprint. And as it grew, it became more and more expensive because we had more and more computers, and we were virtualizing machines, and we're doing all this stuff. We had to get very, very agile and very, very cost effective about how we did that. So that as we were going along, our compute capacity, which used energy and had a carbon footprint, water and all that stuff, didn't have to be running the entire time. And once we got really good at moving the workloads around, all of a sudden somebody said, hey, we should give this capability to our customers or to businesses. So that's where I come in.
What kind of framework do you guys follow in Amazon? Is it agile? Do you guys have Scrum Masters?
I'm going to show you that very thing right now. And it's not, like a techie thing. I mean, this is across the entire company, so it's within distribution, it's within Amazon Prime, it's within Amazon Studios, it's within AWS, so it's not really a technical concept. But when you drill down into it, obviously, if that's what you're dealing with, you'll end up with technology. So we offered this to our customers, and what we were offering was cheaper compute, because we buy a lot of compute, and so I can buy a machine, Amazon can buy a machine much cheaper than anybody else can, because we have so many of them, including the software and so forth. So we pass those discounts on to our customers, so they want to do their computing cheaper, which, to I think it was your point, I don't have to have a data center that's basically got a real giant carbon footprint. I can move it to Amazon, so that footprint, that carbon footprint, is consolidated into one place, and it's not coming from me. And then what Amazon is doing is pushing that down, so we're going to be, water positive and all the things that we're trying to do. So that's kind of how this whole thing came about. And I'm giving you this little history of Amazon, not because I think Amazon is so great, I do, but the point is we were able to take a business from a garage to the largest cloud vendor by 2 or 3 times on the planet. In addition to having studios and putting out Lord of the Rings and all of the other things that Amazon does, right? And it's all done with working backwards. So we figure out what a problem is, and one of the tenets that we use is we want to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. And we use leadership principles to drive everything we do in addition to working backwards. And I'm going to give you a list of those. So in the helix here, the top left one, customer obsession, that's job one. We don't think about how much money we're going to make. I am what would be considered a salesperson. I have a quota and all the things that normally come along with a salesperson. But I do not think in terms of how much money I'm going to make. My first thought is, at UCI, how am I going to make delivering education better for UCI? Or if I'm at the health center, how am I going to help the health center better deliver health care to the people that use the hospital and the various clinics out there? I start there, and I work backwards to, then what do I do with my compute, right? Another one that's probably useful here is, so one of the things that we did, I was talking about how we had a bunch of computers, and then we figured out how to work them better. On the left again, the second one down is invent and simplify. So we figure out how to do it. We build something. It's probably kind of kludgy. And then we figure out how to make it better and more cost effective as we go. And then we also, on the right side, about halfway down, think big. So that's what we're going to start talking about today, thinking big and then doing something. All right, so we're talking about sustainability. What are we going to do with carbon footprints? What are we going to do with water and population, food? It goes on, right? So we use these on a daily basis, and our fearless leader, who's now off in some other land, is he's kind of a head consultant in charge, Jeff Bezos. So use these leadership principles, use them for a while, and continue to use them unless you have a better idea. And there was a video that I had in here that I don't think will show well. So we're going to start with the customer and we're going to work backwards. And we're serious about this. I was in our Irvine office on Laguna Canyon today, and I was kind of walking around. I'm thinking about I've got to get this presentation, and I walk out of the elevator, and this is what I see. So we have stuff like this everywhere. So I'm telling you this because I spent a lot of money putting a sign right outside the elevators to remind me, think of the customer first, or think of your end game first in the case of sustainability. So when you develop your project, don't think about, oh, well, you know, I'm going to have more water purification centers, or, you know, I'm going to figure out how to, you know, use Amazon. Please think of that, but AWS. But, you know, the point is, don't think about that first. What you want to think about is the problem you're trying to solve. And I'm going to give you an example of that in a minute. So these are the things that we look for. Who is the customer? All right, the problem that you're solving needs to be personified. And I'm going to show you a real clear example of that in a minute, but you need to think about who your customer ultimately is. In the case of sustainability, who's your customer? Anybody have an idea?
Me.
Ryan. Ryan's your customer. But it's all of us, right? We're trying to keep the planet so it's sustained and we can continue to live here generation after generation after generation. You know, probably my generation and certainly the one before, not so great, right? Kind of messing things up. So once you know who your customer is, then you're starting to look at the opportunity or the problem that you're trying to solve. So what's Ryan's problem as it relates to sustainability?
Depleting the blank.
He needs kids, right?
No kids. Two stuffed animals in a sailboat.
Well, his stuffed animals then. But all of our kids, I have kids, they're in the process actually of looking at universities, but so this is a fun time, right? But what we're trying to do is make sure the planet is still here and livable for our generations, following generations, and so forth, right? And so that's really kind of what we're trying to figure out. And then we need to, so our think big is save the planet. Then what we need to do is figure out in a smaller section, what can we do now to start this out? And so then you start thinking about solutions. So once you've got it to save the planet, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on water. I'm going to work on how the University of California Irvine campus uses water, make sure we're using water in a reasonable fashion. We're not wasting it, we're recycling it and making sure it's getting clean. When I was in college, I used to live in a dorm right next to the water treatment plant. I went to the University of Florida, and every one of the ponds that they had, so bad water moved to the next water when it got good, and the next, and the next. They had these giant alligators in there. Because it's Florida, they have alligators everywhere. But it was this really big process. But it was all open. So what happened in those retention ponds with the water? So I'm in Florida, I have an open pond where I'm trying to recycle water. What happened? Florida's hot. Evaporation. So we're losing the water that we're trying to retreat and reuse. So we have to think about things like that. Is that part of the problem we're trying to solve? And we're trying to solve that and be able to do something where we can tell Ryan and the rest of us why it's important to them, okay? Because they have to resonate with them so they actually fund it. Because ultimately, when you build these projects out from the Entrepreneur Center, we're trying to get funding to do something, ultimately. This is the life part of it. This is the real life part of it. So when I go back to Amazon, I've got this bright idea to do something for UCI, and I want to do something like a proof of concept. I've got to ask for money to do that. And I have to be able to justify why they're going to give me, you know, $1 million to go out and make something here on campus. And then you need to figure out how you're going to test it and measure success. Right now, I don't know, you know, how broad this is going to go. I don't know that we're going to build a water treatment plant here, but you know, the point is you need to at least have a plan when you get done. So here's my customer, here's their problem, here's what I'm going to do about the problem, this is sort of the bolts of the solution, and here's how I'm going to tell you that this is actually going to work. Right? Because whoever's going to write that check is going to tell you, okay, well, this is a fabulous idea, but you know, how do I know that I should pay for this? What are you going to do to make sure it works? So that's kind of the idea behind working backwards. And the way we do it is a little, we call it peculiar. It's unique. So you'll hear, if you wander around Amazon long enough, you'll hear peculiar all over the place. It's another one of the signs on the wall, by the way. And what we do, first of all, is we write a press release. And the press release is the future state. So I'm going to do my project on a sustainability where I'm going to save all the water in the world and give back, 100% again on top of that. That's my project, and it's going to have a future date on it. This happens to be an old document, but typically if we were doing it today, it would say something like June 1, 2024. And then what we're writing up in here is this is what that looks like for Ryan, the customer, for all of us. Because we want to keep very clear in our mind what we're trying to accomplish, not from a technology or a treatment or whatever standpoint, but what we're actually doing for the personification of that problem. Okay? Does that make sense? Anybody lost? Anybody bored to tears? Anybody heard this before? You have. All right, the other thing that we do is we create a FAQ. What a FAQ is about is really some of the bolts that go underneath this press release. So these are the things that we're trying to solve for. These are some of our ideas on how to solve them. And we use these documents, and the visuals, sometimes we have, something really fancy where we've gotten, more artistic, like an Adobe type of drawing tool. Usually it's Post-it notes. And it's usually 6 Post-it notes. Here's the problem. Here's what's happening. Ryan's, I need water. Here's how we're going to solve it, and it'll have whatever, mechanism we have, very simply drawn out by hand with a Sharpie. And then ultimately on that 6th one, it's, the angels sing and we're sustainable and Ryan's got enough water. He's happy and hydrated, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at, because what we're trying to do is build a path, a logical and a, in this case, well, in actually all cases, some kind of human-oriented path. So, and I'll give you an example that's maybe a little bit closer to what you guys do. How many people register for classes here? Raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, you got to leave. This is a UCI student thing. No, kidding. So last time, the last hackathon was a web reg. And so what we talked about is who the customer is. Well, who do you think the customer was? First and foremost, all of you, right? But also the registrar, because they handle the classes. Probably human resources, probably the facilities people, right? Because they have to make sure we have enough classes, the classes are clean, and they have chairs in them, and whatever else those folks do to support education. So those were the customer, and so it wasn't just about a stinky registration system. It was actually some other things, and some of the things that got built in were things like a button for mental health in case you get stressed out because you can't get that Biology 1 class that you need right now in order to graduate, right? You guys have all experienced that? I know I did. So it drive me nuts. And it also wasn't, some of the things they talked about is how many people have registered for classes and found they had to walk like 9 miles to get from their first class to the very next class, and they only had like 10 minutes to do it, right? So some of the ideas that came out, so it made it easier for the students, was let's put a map on there. So when you build your schedule, you can see where all the classes are and what your route is each day. How many people have to drive here from somewhere else? So is driving here fun? I live in LA, believe me, it's not fun. So, having to deal with things like commute times, that's really important. So I'm bringing in the web reg because I know that this is something you guys actually understand because you have to deal with every semester. That's the type of stuff that we're trying to do with sustainability. So we use these things, and then this is the part that is really, really uncomfortable the first couple of times you do it. We have a meeting with, we call them 2 pizza meetings. So that means 8 people or less. For you guys, maybe it's 2 people or less. I don't know. But the point is, we have a small group of people, and we pass out these documents I just talked about, and people edit them. We spend the first 15, 20 minutes of a meeting to discuss a new topic, and people literally redline them. The first time you do that, this is my job, right? And I'm sitting there, and people are like, "Arr," thinking, oh my God, I'm terrible. I don't know what I'm doing. But the point of that is to, what do you think? Do you have any idea why we do that? You moved, I might call on you. No one? Pardon? Take a document and mark it up in a small group when I'm sitting there in the room. Yeah, all clear. What else? Yes, who said that? There you go. Yeah, Absolutely. So what we're trying to do is make sure that before we do anything, we have yet to build a single thing. We're still talking. We have this honed down to something that is really, really clear that we're trying to do. So we know as we start to actually do something, what? We're on the right path. That's exactly right. Because we have the concept underneath here of failing fast. I'd much rather think about, having spaceships bring water from Mars and go through only a couple of steps before I spent billions or trillions of dollars, fail like the first day. So that's just crazy. There's no water on Mars. We have the telescope out there. We figured it out already. Stop that, right? You don't want to spend a bunch of money on a bad project. And one of the things that happens is people get very married to their idea, right? If you have an idea and you think it's a really good idea, you kind of feel like, hey, my idea. This is designed to vet that out, not in a bad way, but just to talk about things so that they say, yeah, that part about the spaceship thing, yeah, it's pretty cool, but sounds kind of expensive and out of scope. So that's why we do this. And so what comes out of that typically is a very, very focused and narrowly defined project that's going to fit in typically 4 to 6, maybe 8 weeks, so we can prove it out. Now, that doesn't mean we're done. That just means we've gotten to the point where we're pretty clear it works. So there's the video I was going to show you. This is Jeff Bezos, if you don't know, our founder and fearless leader. He was speaking at one of our internal conferences. And what he did at every one of these conferences is he allowed you to write down questions for Jeff. And somebody wrote a question, and it's actually hilarious in the video. I'd love to know who wrote it to see if they're still at Amazon. But they said, is working backwards necessary? Because it's really hard if you do it right. And he was kind of shaking his head. And what he said was, look, working backwards is the way we do things, and you have to try it a few times. And then if you have a better idea, a better way of doing it, then you can do it. But otherwise, working backwards is necessary. And it is hard, because we want you to do all the hard stuff in the beginning.
So, what were some other suggestions? Like, were there any other ideas except working backward at that meeting?
There are tons of them at these sales meetings, but the ones that they codify are the ones that people are like going, oh no, the guy's going to get fired. So that's why it's in there, because it's part of the working backwards suggestion. But we have all kinds of different suggestions that come up, and actually I'm going to talk very pointedly soon, we hope, right, about one of them. So, you can see his quote here. Hopefully I accurately describe that. So what do you see up here? Anybody?
A woman in a bus or a train?
That's actually remarkably accurate compared to what's in the notes. That's right. And what's she doing? She's commuting somewhere, right? And what this slide and this picture is designed to do is to remind you that there are people ultimately that are consuming whatever you're doing, okay? It's really important to make sure there's some person in there, the student with a registration system. When you go to the bank, now you can have your bank app and you can flip it around in front of the ATM and money magically appears. Why? Because now you don't have to stick a card in because you already have the app. If you have your phone, you don't have to remember your password. So we're making things purportedly easy by thinking about that banking customer. All right? Do you have another question? Yeah.
You know what UPI is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you guys. So, India made this thing called UPI. It's Unified Payments Interface, and Amazon is one of the leading. It's a very competitive market to be one of the providers on UPI, being a UPI service. And I remember I got as an American, now I don't have anything pretty much. I don't have a tax ID there. I don't have this. I don't have that. But I got 50 rupees worth of free charging because I ordered something from my mom in India through Amazon. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And 50 rupees of recharge is 1 day.
Yeah.
1 day of and that's just thin air. service being provided. I couldn't use it because I didn't have an Indian phone number.
Yeah.
And it's hard to actually get an Indian phone number.
So that's an example of one of the things that we did with things like Prime. And so I'm been around for a little while, and I like to go to the store. I'm very tactile. I like to touch things when I buy them. I still do. But when COVID hit, I became one of the biggest Prime fans on the planet. I thought, this is just outrageous, man. I hit the thing and it shows up the next day? Are you kidding me? I couldn't even get to the store, and back because of a busy schedule. So it's nuts. So what we do, to your point, is in order to entice people to do this, we pass on the discounts because we can buy things and ship them and get them to you the next day pretty quickly. And so anyway, and the point is, in that story, me using Amazon Prime, I'm her. I'm a busy guy running around Southern California in my little car going to UCI, Santa Barbara, and Riverside, right? So I'm like driving all over the place. I don't really have time to go to the store, or else I'm going to be late for a meeting, or almost late for a meeting. Okay, so in this picture, this is intended to tell you, you need to personify what you're doing so you can make it. And so here's another example of that. So, who's the customer? So this is our distribution. This is buy a book, buy a shirt, buy a teapot, or a kettle, I think is what I bought actually. And so we've got this person here who's actually responsible for going in and picking whatever I bought. This guy's making sure we've got some routing done so it can get on a truck and get across the country or the world, depending upon where it's coming from, and get to me, because I'm a Prime customer, like these ladies, probably in India, I think, right? Does that look Indian? Pakistan? Okay, sorry. Somewhere there. Yes, South Asia, thank you. So, but these people are somewhere in the world, probably not close to this person, right? But we're going to get them because it's Prime in a day or two. Okay? So there are lots of different customers when we put a system in place in our distribution, because we want to make sure that she can easily pick things. We want to make sure that this guy can get it on a truck or a plane or a bicycle or whatever we've got on that particular location, so it gets to our customer on time and intact, right? So this is kind of what we're looking at when we talk about who the customer is and personifying that. So this is an example. So we decided to get into a new business, and it's not really widespread right now, but you may have heard about it. And but what we're looking at is very busy people working and tech savvy. So I would call myself reasonably tech savvy, even though I, was back when they had like dial phones with party lines, but nonetheless, I can use my iPhone. And urban dwellers. So in cities like Seattle, New York, San Francisco, right? That was our target market. And what we were trying to figure out about them is what they're doing today. So that was our customer type. And we were trying to work on a particular problem and in a situation. So here's the example. So we've got these urban dwellers. They've got to wait in long lines when they want to buy something. So I'm walking through the streets of New York. And I've walked 15 blocks. Thirsty. Need a bottle of water. But I got to get to my meeting. Right? What's my problem? I go into a store. I find the water, probably not too difficult. But then what do I have to do? Wait in line. And then pay. How long does that take? Longer and longer. I don't know that the world's getting that much better in this particular area, right? And when you do I shop, again, I live in LA.
Which store did you go to? Do you remember? Dawn and Kroger is like faster than others.
Yeah, I grew up in Florida. I'm used to Publix, so I go to Ralph's out here. I'm like, what is going on, man? And typically when I go into one of these stores, and I won't pick on Ralph's, but any of them in my area, I'm trying to check out, and people are like, can you please hurry up? How come you got so much stuff in your cart? So anyway, we wanted to get in and out of the store quickly, because I got 15 more blocks to walk to get to where I'm going. So what are we trying to accomplish? Let's improve their experience. Woohoo. What's that mean, right? I don't know. Could be how many answers to what improved experience could be?
There's an Amazon store here in Irvine that experimented with the idea of like just going in and like taking the items out, and then as you're going in, you like it's all scanned.
It's Amazon Go.
Yeah, Amazon Fresh, I think it's called. You just like scan a QR code and it tracks you with cameras. It just knows what you pick up.
You guys must all be in college.
But the problem is with that, there's too much of like shoplifting with that.
No, like it actually tracks like
We don't think so.
where you go.
We do not think so. So here's the thing. You guys can talk about Amazon Go. Feel free to go there a lot. It helps me. But the reality was the other thing that they were talking about is payment, right? So we need to make it easy to pay. So let's do this thing where we're tapping cards, probably something like he was talking about in India. It's too narrow. And by the way, a lot of people are already doing it. So maybe not such a great idea. Or maybe it's a good idea, but it's really not big enough. So using automated check stations. That's okay too, right? We have those. I can't stand those. I'd much rather wait in line and talk to somebody and do things and do one of those. But that's just because I've been around too long. But this is really not thinking big enough. So the responsible answer in Amazon language is just walk out of the store, right? I got my bottle of water, and yep, I have my Amazon app. I walk in, scans, knows it's me. Pick up my bottle of water, knows I have the bottle of water because it knows where the water was. It's got a barcode on it, knows how much it cost. Do I really need to go to some pay station? Do I need to talk to somebody to check out? No, just walk out of the store. It's the coolest thing in the world. This is in Seattle. Like kind of go, ooh, this is great, right? So that's the kind of thing that we're talking about when we start talking about working backwards and thinking big. And then what we had to do was from this think big idea, just walk out of the store, we had to shrink that down to something that was doable so we could prove out whether this would work. And the bottom line is it works in urban areas, right? Here, and frankly, even where I live in LA, it's not really as great because we're all in cars and maybe on campus or something like that. So it's really not as convenient. But if you're in an urban area like Seattle, San Francisco, New York, or Chicago, this rocks, man. This is so cool. And we do, through the app, have a really good idea if you really bought it. And I guess the only way you can really steal things, unless you literally run out the door, so without the app. And I think there's some sensors when you go in that will tell you if they have the app or not. So that's where Amazon Go came from. That's how we came up with this. What's the problem? Nobody likes to stand in line to buy stuff. What do we do about it? Just let them walk out the door because of the Amazon app. You can actually do that at the Amazon Fresh to a lesser degree. So when I go in an Amazon Fresh, I scan my little Amazon app thing, and then I go in there. When I check out, it's pretty darn easy. I still have to talk to somebody. I might have to stand in line, but it's pretty quick. So that's how that idea came about. And the reason I'm showing you this is I know sustainability is not getting through a checkout line really quickly, but what I'm trying to impart to you is how working backwards from a problem, or a person problem, helps you get to something pretty tangible and pretty cool. So is this making sense to you guys? Is it like resonating? Or you're going, who let the Amazon guy in here, right? So this is a really important tenet. We do this with everything we do. When I come out to talk to Ryan about an application, or when I talk to somebody on campus or at the health center, this is where I start. What are you doing? Well, we need a computer. No, that's not what we're doing. Well, I need EC2 Linux instance. No, we're not doing that either. Oh, patients leaving the UCI Health Center after they've seen a radiologist get the radiologist's notes, basically what they see in the x-ray, and they have no freaking idea what the thing says, right? Because it's all this crazy doctor language. So what the problem is a patient doesn't know if they're healthy or they're sick, because it's really, really convoluted in some cases. So what do we do for those guys? We translate all that doctor jargon into plain old English. Just, did the x-ray, didn't find anything wrong with you. There's this dark spot, but don't worry about it because everybody's got a dark spot right there, or something like that. And I'm not a doctor, but so I need to qualify that because I'm on video. in case somebody listens to me. So that's the kind of stuff that we're doing. So this is some of the other advertising we did for this, and this is where Amazon Go came from. And this is my favorite kind of thing, just walk out. So let's think about this, again, in another context. It's a little bit more tangible, not sustainability. When you register for classes, now that you've seen this, what do you think your registration would look like? Just really big. Think big idea. Who's got any concept? Yeah, that's something you could do. Anybody else?
Have like a bunch of professors standing and like in a circle, and you just say something whatever you like to say, and like whoever responds back is your professor, and you're gonna be with them for the next 10 weeks.
How many people in this room have a major? Raise them high so I can see. I got to find the people who don't have a major, right? Okay, and if you don't, you're undeclared, right? I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Right, so you have a major. How many people for your major, or if you're undeclared, have to take general requirements classes? Raise your hand. You don't take classes here? Okay, so why don't you just stay in bed? Don't register. We know your major. We know the classes you need to take. We know when you need to take them roughly to graduate on time, right? So stay in bed. Or, probably more likely, let the registration happen and all you do is edit. Right? So maybe you heard that Professor Ed was really hard in physics or something like that, so I don't take that guy. But just have the schedule built so you can get out on time, and then maybe for some of the electives, since they know a lot about you here on campus, maybe it will give you suggestions of electives that you might be interested in taking. I'm going to let him talk for me.
For me, that would just bring up one problem with the agency of the customer or students if there's already a pre-made plan for you with that.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be a hindrance or in...
Yeah, and that's why I fell back to you can modify, right? Because you're right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe when I was in college, I would have just done it. Who knows?
I mean, it would be really helpful if it's just like everything's kind of set. But if you wanted to make that edit,
Yeah,
have that
you could do it.
option. And I've also been to community college. The online registration process is so much more smoother looking.
At the community colleges.
Are nice.
Are they the Cal States?
I've also done Cal State's
Okay.
kind of the same thing. I've
Okay.
been to Cal State. I've been to community college. I'm also at UCI. And then at IBC, which is right here, and they're connected with the Saddleback College. The system, whoever designed it, is
Did a great job.
a great job. It's very fast. And what we like.
Let's stay on
Yeah.
here. Let's talk this.
So you had a question here.
Yeah, so like have you thought about like editing a lot? Like for example, if someone like has a schedule made for him and then like he doesn't like the times for the classes or like
Huh.
the
Yeah, that's why you can edit it, right? So he makes the schedule for you, and then the reality is you got to let the person edit it. Because personally, when I was in college, if you tried to get me in an 8 o'clock class, it wasn't happening. Just wasn't. 4, 10:30, 11, nope, unless I was going surfing. Just didn't happen. So that's kind of the concept here. So now, in the context of sustainability, right, you find your big idea, you figure out what you want to do to help Ryan out and the rest of us. Let's get him hydrated or whatever. And then you winnow that down to something that you can actually do, pitch, and you feel confident that you're going to be able to execute on. So, all right, so I'm not going to show you the video of that. So again, these are this is actually what I would normally do here is go through a workshop and we'd actually build out based on your sustainability. We're not going to do that tonight. Ryan, how am I doing on time, by the way?
You're good.
Okay, all right. So, is anybody, A, have an idea of what their project is, and B, willing to tell us who your customer might be? Okay?
We're looking into ways to innovate in the beekeeping space
Mm-hmm.
or more sustainable forms of agriculture. So our customer is honeybees / commercial beekeepers.
Okay, great, great. Anybody else? Quickly.
We're thinking of having like
And just, yeah.
Like maybe like Germany has like a different, like a couple of them, more devices than ours.
So you're cheating, man. You're stealing from the Germans. No, it's fine. Just kidding. We got over here. That's good.
So I'm looking to reinnovate the way that we drink water. There's a big fad of hydro flasks and Stanley cups and whatnot of reusable water bottles, but people carry way too many of them, which is nonsense for a reusable bottle to have more than one, because of all sorts of problems. I'm going to solve all of that with a modular water bottle, and my customer would be the average college student and your or fitness enthusiasts.
Yeah. So tell me when you get that done. I've got this flask that's metal, and I put it in my backpack, and I'm like walking around going, oh my God, man, it's really heavy. So those are great examples of an idea and who the customer would be. And so what I would encourage you all to do is, first of all, think of the customers like these folks have, but try and expand out a little bit, right? And see if there's, like in my example with WebReg, the registrar, you know, so farmers, you know, consumers, and see what makes sense. And you want to go concentrically out, but if there's a point at which, you know, you kind of have to go, okay, enough, right? Because now I have the entire planet. And I'm not likely to be able to execute on that unless I've got a pretty narrow focus. So we're not going to do an ideation exercise. I didn't know that built, actually. So when you have that idea and you know who your customer is, that's where you start to talk about the lady on the bus, the student or the registrar at UCI, right? Because one of the things that comes out of a registration system is what? Not the students. Think about this. If you have that kind of thing, so now I've looked at all the students that go to UCI, I'm getting ready to register, I'm the registrar, what do I know? I know who I have coming into registrar, I know what classes they've taken, and I know what classes they need to take. So I can build out a schedule that's going to meet a lot of your needs. I'm going to, with that schedule, figure out how many classrooms and how many sections of a class I need. So when you need that Bio 101 class and they only have 2 sections and 2,000 students that need to take it this semester to graduate on time, voila, I've got the sections and I've got the seats. So those are the kind of thoughts that you can put behind sustainability, all right? I'm actually not talking too much about sustainability because last time I did this, I actually talked too much about what I would do with a WebReg system, and he got mad at me. So, but, excuse me, build a press release. So on June 1, 2024, I've got this bee experiment that I've done, and now I've rolled it out, right? I've got water bottles going on that, are helping people like me not have a bad back or, whatever. I don't mean to diminish your sustainability, but you start to write a press release about what it will look like when your idea is now in place. I go into the store, I get my water, I'm walking halfway across Manhattan, I walk out the door. Don't have to stop. I'm in New York, so who wants to talk to a cashier in New York anyway? Actually, they're really nice. I've done that. So you want to write a press release and then share it within your team and start poking holes in it. And, do that with constructive criticism, of course, but have other people look at it. You can even, we call 2 pizza teams because 8 people is enough. I think it was a TV show, actually. But 8 people is enough input into a document to hone it, but it's not like you're giving it to the campus and say, hey, what do you guys think about this idea? That's just way too much data for this. And, some of the tenets here, avoid jargon. So when I was talking earlier about EC2 instances. That's one of the products that we have in our cloud. Nobody knows what an EC2 instance is, right? It's a computer. Huh? Yeah, it's off topic. I mean, I don't mean to cut you off, but don't really want to talk about all the computers we have at AWS. So I think my presentation died here, it looks like. Am I zotting now?
Are you zoning now? Is that?
I don't know. I think I went away somewhere.
Did you lose the presentation?
I did.
Okay.
Maybe I'm no longer in the Zoom. That's okay. Yeah, I'm probably not in the Zoom. I will look at it myself and I'll talk to it because I don't think there's anything terribly interesting in these. Oh, maybe I'm coming. Maybe I just hit the wrong button.
Maybe you are not sharing.
Yeah, maybe I have
Are
to.
you on Zoom still? sharing screen.
Oh, I gotta stop it.
Host disabled participant screen share. Okay.
Good?
I don't know. No, it's not. It's not.
All right, that's all right.
That's right. You're close to being done, right?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
All right, so I'll talk through these. There's nothing really interesting. It's probably a lot of text. Go back here.
You don't need to slide. Just close strong. Give a round of applause. He's going to close this thing out. All right, red card. This is your final TED Talk moment here. Let's go, guys.
All right.
You got this.
So when you're building that document, one of the things is that don't use jargon and stuff like that, because really you want to say it simply. I work at Amazon now. We talk about talking simply. I used to work at IBM. At IBM, we had a tenant that said don't speak or write above an 8th grade language. Because if you don't go over 8th grade, everybody's going to understand. It's not about how many big words you know, right? It's about getting the idea across so you can have people understand what you're trying to do and help you do it. Okay, I know this is, a college environment and that's kind of cool to do, but don't do it when you're doing stuff like this. So there's a structure in the press release. The key things in a press release are the heading, right? It's like a news story, right? It's the front page story. We're going to basically look at bees and make them, pollinate faster and crops grow faster. You want to make sure that you have future date, so it looks like something that's going to happen so you can remember that. But you also want to make sure that your first sentence or your first paragraph is really descriptive. Kind of like writing a paper in college, not too far away, right? So you want to say, boom, here's what we're going to do. It's going to be magic, and here's how we make it magic and for you, and then you put in all the detail. And if you can, you get Ryan to put a quote in. I was thirsty for the longest time, and you guys made water, and now I'm not thirsty anymore. You guys are great, right? So you want something like that if you can. This is a little bit esoteric possibly for that, but you can try, because those are really the key things that you need in that. Okay? And then from there, mark it up, and then you can start to drive down into what you're really trying to do and flesh out your idea and how you're going to do that idea. Okay? Is that helpful? Is that good? Does that help? Yes? Okay. Working backwards. All right, thank you.
Final questions for Mr. Ed as I'm going to get set up, and instead of taking a quick break, I think I'm just going to rock this thing because I have a
go ahead.
fun.
Anybody have any questions pertinent around how do you work backwards? Okay.
They all
You
know.
don't. What's that? So it's the headline. It's the first paragraph. Describing, like you would write a college paper, right? Here's what I'm going to talk about in the next few pages. Typically, the press release is 1 page, okay? And then the next thing is, if you have it, some kind of a customer test. Ryan, I'm not thirsty anymore. It's great, kind of thing.
What is one metric that you can talk about Amazon Go that has been something that's proven to be better than you guys thought?
One of the things that, so I'm a little bit shy about this because I actually don't work in the retail space. And so I like to be very careful what I say about our retail space. But one of the things that was, that I would say is they actually kind of didn't think it was going to work, right? And all of a sudden now you can walk out of a store. And the coolest thing about it was starting out literally with the ideas that I showed you. Let's have a, swipe the card thing or whatever else was up there. And all of a sudden, just leave. Coolest concept ever. So, anybody else? Thank you. Appreciate you having me. Good luck on your project.
I'm like, is that my microphone or is it not?
Okay,
Yeah. All right. Should share. This is a good grand finale. All right, give that a round of applause for that last little taste. All right, we feeling good? We're ready to save the world, one bee at a time, one water bottle at a time? My name is Ryan Fullen. If you haven't met me, I am a speaker, I'm an author, and I'm a very proud ginger. Yes, how many gingers we have in the house? Exactly, that's what my middle school and elementary school was like. So everybody made fun of me, they beat me up, they chased me around, actually wedgies were a thing back in the day. But martial arts solved that problem. Martial arts solved that problem. Taekwondo, and then eventually Shaolin Kempo Karate for 7 years, Muay Thai, MMA, all that stuff. I love getting hit, and I love hitting people. Okay, it's good stuff. But I'm telling you that I'm a proud ginger because it's the one thing that people made fun of me. And what people might make fun of you for now is actually your superpower. It's when you claim it and you're yourself, that's it, right? So question before we begin. On the scale of 0 to 10, 0 meaning 0, 10 meaning you are awesome, I want you to think of the number and you're going to say it out loud together on how comfortable you are at pitching this business idea that you have. Okay, so think of it right now. On the count of 3, everything that you have right now, 1, 2, 3. All right, we're like at a 6.5, 7, right, if we average it out, which is cool. How many people here have actually created a 3-minute video pitch for a sustainability idea before in their life? Okay. Okay, I was trying to trick you, but basically, we're all here at the same page, right? Now, I want you to do me a favor here and fold your arms like you normally would. Yeah, nice and comfy, right? Okay. Now, fold your arms the other way. Does that feel weird? This little hand is like, what am I doing on the bottom? I need to be on top. Okay, go back to normal fold, like wherever you normally are. Okay, now fold your arms the other way. It's actually like really awkward and different, right? The reason I'm sharing this exercise is because when you fold your arms normal, that's comfortable, that's what you're used to, that's what you do, that's why it's comfortable. But as soon as you do something different, it feels really weird. But if you practice this for 20 years, all of a sudden this will feel normal. So this whole pitching process is going to feel like folding your arms in the wrong way, and it's just going to be awkward. But if you continue to do it and you practice it and you get this experience, you'll get better and better at it because your whole life is full of 3-minute pitches. You just don't know it yet. You're pitching what you should do for the weekend, what you should do for dinner. And so the same structure I'm going to share with you today works for a 3-minute video, and it works for if you're Ed trying to pitch a large company to do something. So we pitch all the time, everywhere, whether we know it or not. So you said you hadn't pitched 3 minutes, but trust me, we're always pitching. We're maybe pitching to a professor, you need an extension. We're pitching to friends because we need you to join your team. You're pitching your idea to other people, but this skill of pitching will go far and wide. And it's actually an art form. So I'm not here to tell you what to create. I'm here to give you the tools so that you can be a painter and paint it yourself. The nice thing is if you learn how to pitch, you can also learn how to influence, because influence is also an art form. Now, most people, when they meet you or they learn that you have an idea, they're going to ask you, what do you do? Right? Maybe they meet you and it's not about a business, but like, oh, what do you do? And when you answer that question, watch their eyes, because they're not paying attention to what you're saying. They're waiting for you to talk, pretending to pay attention, to hope that when you're done answering what you do, you ask them what they do so that they can get excited and share what they do when your eyes are glossy because you're like, did they even just listen to me at all right now? I have no idea. So when it comes to a business idea, the same thing happens. But you have to be prepared, because if I ask you what you do you ramble like a babbling fool? Do you talk so fast that you're blue in the face? Is your big idea all over the place? Do you say the same thing every time? Do you bore investors out of your mind? You might even do it, and you might not even know it. Your startup hasn't started. All you want to do is grow it, and every time you open up your mouth, you seem to blow it, and you wish there was a method or a way you could control it. Have no fear, because the 313's here, and it will make your message clear. First, you state the problem. Then you say you solve it, and don't forget the market. Ugh. Hold on, buddy. You heard Ed say it, and I will repeat it. Keep things simple to make them powerful. 6 Post-it notes is very simple, but it's powerful. And do not confuse simple with easy. There's nothing more difficult than narrowing down to the core. Actually, if I write an email and I don't have enough time, it ends up being really long, and then I say, if I actually had more time, this would be shorter. Sorry. So as you're trying to get to a 3-minute pitch, it's actually very difficult. It's easier to give a 7 or a 10 or a 20-minute pitch because you're just like, let me get all this information out there. So today we're going to help you understand how to get the core information. And the reality is that the more you talk, the less people listen. And the less you talk, the more they ask questions. And questions is actually what gets people interested. It makes them curious. It makes them have questions and conversation, and it helps you to close them. Now, whether it's what you're going to do for dinner or a first customer in the door, but the reality is, stop talking. Listen. Now, I have a question for you. We're talking about what you do, but we're also talking about problems. How many people think, this is a hypothetical, it's not both, do people care more about the problem that you solve, or do they care more about what you do? Now, whether you're in college or in business for yourself, we typically do something, and usually it solves a problem. So who thinks that people actually care more about what you do? Okay? How many people think it's more important about the problem that you solve? I agree. I'm sorry for those that answered incorrectly the first time, but the reality is people only care about the problem that you solve. And that's why when somebody asks you what you do, they're just like, oh, I'm not really care what you do. But if you describe the problem, and if they're interested in that problem, they'll all of a sudden be interested. So nobody cares about your solution for this sustainability thing, but they will care about the problem. And if they care about the problem enough to listen to you and you can solve that, then they'll care about what you do to do it. Okay? So instead of answering the question, what you do, ask me what I do. Funny question. I do a lot of things, but what's most important is the problem that I solve. That's exactly what you want people to ask. Well, the reality is that you can have the best idea in the world, but if you can't articulate it in a concise and clear way, it no longer becomes the best idea. That's the problem that I personally solve. You interested? I'm showing you right now, buddy. So if somebody asks you, what do you do? Try this. And this works really good in Ubers, especially if you have luggage and you're going somewhere. Actually, Lyft, because they're more talkative. And like, oh, where are you going? What do you do? And you go, well, I do a lot of stuff, but it's actually more important. I get out of bed every day to solve this one very particular problem. And they'll go, what problem do you solve? And then you can, don't crash the car. And then you tell them the problem. Watch this. You ask them, do you think that that's a problem? It's either yes or no. If they say no, you haven't explained it right. If they say yes, you ask them, do you have this problem? They either say yes or no. If they say yes, you go, okay, are you looking to solve that problem anytime soon? If they say yes, you say, I can help you out. You can get people interested in your idea without even telling them your idea if you can articulate the problem, let them admit it's a problem in the world, it's a problem that they have, it's a problem that they want to solve soon, and then you can help them out. Hold on, buddy. I'm rocking here, okay? It's not what you do, it's the problem that you solve. So spin that next time somebody asks you. And as a student, you're solving problems. This concept, which I'm going to do a high level today, it's called the 3-1-3. It helps you develop your business idea into 3 sentences, 1 sentence, and ultimately 3 words. Now, I'm not going to go into it all today. I'm going to focus on some of the concepts, and then I'm going to share with you how you can make your 3-minute presentation using these fundamentals. I actually have a podcast called the 3-1-3 Challenge, and I talk with founders across the world, and I put them through this hot seat, and you'll find we can get you more information. But for now, I want to talk about the rubric. Because any competition, you're playing to the judges. And so the most effective videos that are going to get to the next level are going to address what the judges are going after. Now, this is all available on the website, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it. And it's probably hard to read here, but you're talking about, and they're weighted. So 25% of your score is about how disruptive you are. How disruptive are the bees? How disruptive is the water bottle? Because disruption is important. What is your market understanding? What is the social impact, sustainability, the feasibility in your team, and scalability? This is 45%. And your presentation is a 20% factor. Okay, that means if you're just like, oh, this blah, 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 you're not getting a huge chunk of it. So make sure that you're choosing team members and people that you're putting forward that are really practicing, make sure it's polished. That's a big part of it. Essentially, you're trying to get across 3 things: the problem, the solution, and the market. That's it. I encourage you to explain them in this order. Because as soon as you talk about the solution, people, I heard that, I've done that, people are already doing that. But if you get them locked into the problem, they'll be willing to see what your solution is. And then you say, well, whoa, I'm not for everybody, because that would be stupid. If you're for anyone or everyone, then you're for no one. And then you say, this is who we're for. And that's essentially the nuts and bolts. Now, you're all creative. You've done presentations. It's how you put it together. Your personalities come out. So what problem do you solve? Who wants to tell me the problem that they solve in one sentence without telling me what they do? I need a microphone, too. Let's get one test pilot. All right, the B-man. You ready? Now, also, do you see that red thing right there? Yes, that. I always have a handy buzzer. Just to let you know, that was a preemptive to let you know I have a whole bunch of with your name on it, okay? Everyone, this is an exercise you can do as a team. Can you describe the problem that you solve in just one sentence with no mention of the idea itself?
The problem we're trying to solve is poor capacity for beehive monitoring to address colony collapse disorder.
Okay. How many people fully understood that sentence? Okay, that plays to Ed's part about jargon. Okay, pass the mic over there. Let's see what he says. No, that's not it. This is, nope, here, give the mic. Nope, he said he's not going to do it. Let's go over here. We're here, right here.
The problem is removing fossil fuels and finding a way to mitigate their problems.
Do you see what I did there? He just told me the solution, right?
Oh, shoot.
Well, yeah, shoot. Yeah, okay, try it again, try it again. And this is an exercise. This is not easy. Try it again. One sentence, do not mention what you do.
Getting rid of fossil fuels and mitigating. Oh, snap. Oh, crap. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Okay.
See, what happens is that we're so used to sharing the solution. It's just natural.
Okay, here, well, last time.
Okay, here you go.
The problem is we have too much of a dependency on fossil fuels, and fossil fuels have already made the world pretty bad.
Okay, you didn't get a buzzer. Give him a round of applause. That's okay. It's okay. He's like, oh gosh. You want to try? All right, try right there.
So the problem is we're trying to recycle food waste.
The problem is we're trying to recycle. That's what you do. Oh.
Okay.
Try it again.
I'll think about it.
Okay, because nobody cares about you recycling, but they care about the problem that's being solved. Do you want to try? All right, one sentence. I got a buzzer ready for you.
Clean up, no hassle.
There's no context, Steven. And plus, you're doing some sort of cleanup, and you got like a tagline in it, too. Pass the microphone back over here. All right, we got somebody over here. The last one, and we're moving on. Pass the mic, please.
The problem is that people spend way too much money on inadequate water bottle solutions.
Ooh, okay. Now, I want a thumbs up or thumbs down. Was that a problem? Yes or no? Thumbs up? Okay, watch this. Oh, we have a thumbs down. Okay. On a scale of 0 to 10, with your fingers, how painful was that problem as you described it? Raise your hands and show him. 3, 5, 1, 0. So check this out. This is an interesting point because here's the live demo part. So you can describe the problem, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to resonate. How many people here have had a paper cut? Raise your hand. Okay. Let me get a live demonstration. Please inspect this paper. Make sure that there's nothing odd about it.
It's odd. Don't give it.
Yeah, this is definitely a paper. Live demonstration, watch closely. Those at home, this is about to be, you should probably turn away. This might be, okay, why, right? You got to get it right in the crick there. It's a little tart, but no blood. Okay? All right. How many people have ever chopped their finger off with a knife?
Oh, are you gonna? No.
Does anybody have a knife? I have a fork right here. It's about close. Okay. Imagine this were a knife, and if I probably hit it hard enough, okay? Ready? Ow! Oh, look at my finger. My finger's come off. There's blood squirting everywhere. This carpet is blood now. Wow. What's the difference between a paper cut and a finger being chopped off?
One is reversible, one is not.
Yes? What else? One is more painful. What else? Your reaction. Whose reaction to it? Yours. Mine? And yours. The difference between a paper cut and a finger being chopped off is the implicit reaction that happens in your mind. Imagine your brother like, dude, I got a paper cut. He just looked at Ryan's like, James is like, excuse me? You waste my time? If I came over you, I'm like, dude, James, my fingers, like, hell, my God. People are like calling 911 and do something, right? Like there's this instinction to it. So you can articulate the problem that you're solving and people be like, yeah, that's a problem, but it doesn't resonate on the Richter scale. So as your team defines the problem, say it in one sentence without saying what you're doing, and then ask somebody, say on a scale of 1, first of all, is that a problem? One dude said no, so you should talk with him about what you missed in that from just a problem. And then there's this dude said there was a 3, so he's probably got 7 other suggestions to make it bloodier, or he has 7 things that you haven't hit on that really hurt him. Okay? So the exercise is to define the problem in one sentence without any mention of what you do, and then ask somebody, is it a problem, and how big is that problem? And you want them to be consistently, yes, it's a problem, 8, 9, or 10. And when you can articulate that, that's the magic Post-it note that people will pay attention to. Why do you think the whales are still dying? It's because people are like, save the whales. The problem is the whales are dying. It's a problem, but it's not like getting to me. Like it's a paper cut. So make sure that you're communicating a finger chop and not a paper cut. And as Ed said, getting to the core of the problem, but that's how you do it. All right, now fast track to your solution. Let's go back to my B dude. Actually, we'll start back there. Tell me your solution in one sentence, and the only thing that I need for you to not get a buzzer is that your solution 100% solves the problem that you stated. Because that's not always the case in our messaging. You want to try your problem statement again real quick?
Sure. There are over 1 million water bottles disposed to landfills every minute, and there's no perfect reusable water bottle solution.
Okay, was that a problem? Yes or no? It's like Roman emperors here. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, show with your fingers how much more painful that was. Whoa, you got a 10 over here, 4, 5, 10. And this dude with an 8, you could probably ask him, what am I missing? And maybe you could put a little bit more blood into it. All right, now what is your solution in one sentence?
I've created a modular reusable water bottle that allows for different sizes, colors, and utility all in one bottle.
Did his solution clearly solve the problem of 1 million things in the landfill? No. So there's a disconnect. But it's not directly connected. If he would have said, this modular water bottle will reduce the amount of water bottles wasted every day by a factor of 10-fold, then we're connecting the dots. So a lot of times, pass the mic this way, a lot of times we have a solution, but it's not directly correlated with the problem, and you've lost them. In a 3-minute video, the problem has to be solved by a solution that solves it. Mr. B Dude. All right.
Can I try the problem?
Yes, you can. And everybody knows we're going to go up or down in the vote 10 or not.
Honeybees, the foundation of our food supply, are dying in droves.
Okay, is that a problem? Okay, watch this. How bloody is it? I don't know. You talk about it being like the foundation of our food, but what happens if the honeybees go? We all die, right? You set it up, but there's no blood.
Sure.
The finger's like halfway cut off, but it's hanging, and people are like, dude, you fell off your skateboard, you're cool, just get up and keep going. It's like the thumb's flying,
Still
okay?
got a tendon in there.
Try one more time. Add some blood.
The one insect wholly responsible for our survival on this planet and our industrial food supply is dying at an astonishing rate.
And if we don't
intervene soon, we will starve.
We will all die, or whatever, okay? Now, is that a problem, yes or no? On a scale of 1 to 10, look at the hands. Okay, she's like, I'm holding the pen, but I really want to, So do you see this process you can iterate on? You can have all these different versions of it. All right, to my trash dudes over there. All right, tell me the solution in one sentence.
Okay.
Never start your sentence with It shows that you're stalling. It shows you're in your head. You could have just been silent. That's a preemptive warning for you. Most people start with the first word Any other is cool. Ready? Go for it.
recycling food waste in poor countries and producing useful gas from that.
Okay. Is that, well, does that solve the problem? But I think we need to get back to your problem, because that didn't work for me, because I was like, I don't know if it's a product or a service or anything. Tell me the problem real quick.
Okay, food waste in poor countries.
Why, like, yes, that's true. Why is that a problem?
Because it's a waste of food.
But what's the result of it? What's the blood? Who cares? What's the damage? What's the collateral damage?
More cost on families.
So it's a cost thing? See, this is what you get to work over the next week as you build your video, okay? Teams are due tomorrow, video is due on the 30th. All right, let me just give you a high level here. Your solution. Who can tell me the difference between these two things? What and how? What's what versus what how? What's what, yes?
What is the problem? How is the solution?
Nope. You said as the first word, but also no.
What is it that you do? How do you do it?
Okay, way to clearly define it with just the simple words on the board. I like what you're doing here. What takes longer to explain, the what or the how? Okay. Do you notice that I'm asking what your solution is? So the reason that we have to understand the difference is if I ask what your solution is and you tell me how it works, that's not what I asked. You cannot explain how your company works or how your solution is in one sentence. It doesn't make sense. Imagine that you're on a cruise to Alaska, and there's this dude right next to you, and you're like, oh, those are cool headphones. And you look over, and you're like, oh, check this out. Grab him by the shirt, drag him underwater, it's freezing cold, and you're underneath going, come up for air, up for air, and then you're back on the boat, and you're like, what's up? That is exactly what happens when you tell and explode all of your crazy idea onto somebody, and all they do is ask you what. So when somebody asks you what you do, you just tell them in one sentence what you do, super clear, and then stop. And if they're interested at all, what do you think they're going to ask you? How does it work? I'm so glad you asked. What do you actually know about this? Okay, so you really have to think through this. Hold on for everybody. Keep your sentences short. Just because you have 3 minutes doesn't mean that you should talk very fast and have everything go like this. Trust me, you're going to be like, we're running out of time, speed it up. Let's get this thing at 1.5. Talk faster. No. Think more about what you're going to say. The less you say, the more profound you become. If it's a 3-minute pitch, can you do 2 minutes and 30 seconds? Sure. I had somebody who was entering a 2-minute pitch competition, and his pitch was only 30 seconds, and he won. It's not about maximizing the time. It's about getting across the message and getting people interested in your idea. So now we talked about the problem, make it bloody. We talked about your solution. It's got to be clear. You've got to define what it is. Is it a product? Is it a service? And then understand how it works, be able to articulate it, but two separate things. And who can tell me the difference between a target market and a market potential? Yes, sir.
A target market is like a market that already exists, and a potential market is something that you're probably going to create. Or
I know. I'm sorry, but that's, yes.
Who wants the mic?
All right, you try it. And there's nothing personal. No, it's okay. I like it.
The target market is who you're initially aiming for. The market potential is like a wider thing.
Exactly. Okay, that's different than what you said. Okay? Your target market is your beachhead market. It's the first 10 customers. It's the first 100 customers. I don't think we're as interested in everyone or anyone. So back to my B dude. Back to my B dude. Can you explain the market, your target market, without using the E word or the A word? You'll find out real quick if you use it. Let's try it. Yeah, go.
Our target market is commercial beekeepers, and our market potential is anybody.
No, we don't want market potential. We just want target market.
Target market is beekeepers.
You could have likely said any beekeeper or every beekeeper, right? There's no,
Sure.
How many beekeepers are there in the world?
A lot.
Yeah, there's no way you're going to get in front of them. Here's a hypothetical situation. I've got a whole bunch of cash in my pocket, a lot of cash, and I'm going to give you 2 options to start a fast food restaurant. Hopefully it's sustainability, and hopefully it's good for you. It's not like some of this like really fast food, okay? Everyone gets 2 options. They can start one of these restaurants fully funded. It's within walking distance to your house. Or you can start 50 of the same restaurants across the entire United States all at once, and I fund you exactly for the amount for everything. How many people would do all 50 stores? How many people would do 1 store? It's close enough to your house. Exactly. Because there's no way you're going to service all 50 states at once. But we think early stage entrepreneurship that like we're going to go for all beekeepers. No. If you said we're not for everybody, we're actually for a certain subset of beekeepers that are within a 10-mile radius of where I'm willing to drive so that I can customer service these people. And plus, I already know 3 of them, and there's a total of 10. And once we capture those, then we move on to the next county, the next, and the next. So for your market, your believability, where are you starting? Okay, so understand, don't be like, our TAM, SAM, SOM, there's 13 million people, and we're going to get 1% of this. It's like, that's not believable. You're a student startup. This is something that you can start. Start here on campus. What is your target market? So when you explain it, don't use the A word, anyone, or the E word, everyone, because then you're for no one. And that means having great specificity. Okay? Do the research. You're going to be judged on the market that you understand. Now, that's the core of the 3 sentences. It's the problem, the solution, the market. That's how you explain your idea in 3 sentences. To explain it in 1 sentence is just mathematics. You actually rearrange those 3 things 6 different ways. Once you've locked in your problem, solution, market, you can say it in 1 sentence 6 different ways. And then for 3 words, it's not a tagline. It's actually a metaphor or analogy. I am like Captain America for bees. Or I am, I don't know, I'm the Tesla of trash. Whatever it is, right? It's using metaphor and analogy, and that's the 3 words. But using these principles that we just shared, enter the 3-1-3 sandwich. Now, people say it looks more like a burger, but who cares, okay? This is a format that everyone can use, but still have your own flair with it. It starts with a story. The story uncovers the problem. The problem is something that you have a solution for, but it's not for everybody, and then you tell a story in the end where your product is live and what the world looks like. It's a very simple format everybody can follow. So what's the story behind your idea? Maybe for the international traveling, I was traveling in India, and it was supposed to be this amazing experience, but all I smelled was trash everywhere I went. And that was a problem. Transition into the problem. You know, last time that I was in summer camp, I got stung by a bee, and I smashed the thing, and I went on a journey of killing every single bee I could for 7 years. And then somebody told me that they're the basis of our entire food chain, and I realized that's a problem. Now, do you see how it only took me 10, 15 seconds to do that? But there's a logic. The way that our brain is designed, the original brain, your brain stem, the mammalian, the croc brain, tries to make sure that you don't die. And it is what gets the flight, fight, and when you're standing over a ledge, they're like, you shouldn't step forward, okay? Your prefrontal cortex is the stuff that's numbers and data-driven, and you can get the complexity. But data and information is actually like an invisible bear that's jumping out. If somebody's like, oh, and you start your pitch video, you're like, the entry of this and that and this and that, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Your actual STEM brain, the judge's brain will be like, this is a scary bear jumping out at me. I do not have time for this. I am scared. So a story is a way to unlock somebody's mind. Oh, I've killed bees too. Oh, that's fires. Oh, right? Okay. Now the wasps are different, right? You can kill the wasps. Okay, good.
Fair game.
Fair game. So what is the story? And I would suggest that you start your pitch with some sort of a story. What's the personal connection? How did it all start? There's a lot of power in starting. I wouldn't waste more than 30 seconds on that, though. Okay? So that uncovers the problem. But this is a problem. State the problem clearly. Understand the problem, maybe a couple facts, some figures, whatever it is, but define that the finger is not just held on. It's actually on the floor. Maybe you chopped your arm. Maybe you're like the Black Knight in the... do you guys know the Monty Python, please, at least, right? The Black Knight, like, gets his arm chopped off. He's like, I've still got you. And the other, he's like kicking him with one leg, and he ends up in a stump. And it's like, you have to find that pain. She's a witch. So now the problem, logically, has a solution. And here's where you talk about your solution, what it is and how it works, the magic sauce. Remember, you only have 3 minutes, so get it across clearly. And then you go, but we're not for everybody. We are for this specific target market. And then you say, now imagine the person who is in camp now, and they have this app or this solution, and they know, even though they get stung, they recognize it's their fault, and in fact, they try to make sure everybody know that just like sharks, bees are not your enemy. So you put your solution in the world, and people can see the vision of it. Now, this formula is magical because you can expand, contract, and put whatever you need into it. You can put, this is Robert Kiyosaki's 10-20. These are the 10 things he thinks you should include. Anything you want to include in your presentation can be involved in the story, involved in the problem, the solution, the market, or the final story. What about your status and timeline? That could be our go-to-market. What about our team? That's part of our solution. What about our marketing and sales? We could talk about that in any one of these. And so what I want you to understand is that if you follow this format, it's easy for a judge or somebody to understand, and you can put everything in that you need without feeling like you're just cramped. The other thing is that, oh my gosh, don't sit there and read on your teleprompter, I can tell. Don't have a script. Don't memorize, prepare and improvise. And you're going to tell a story, and that leads to the problem. And then, but wait, we have a solution for our problem. Oh, wait, but we're not for everybody. So imagine what the world looks like over here. It's a simple format, okay? Let's go back to this. Disruptive social innovation. You can talk about, that is your defining of the problem and your solution. Your market understanding, we talked about that. Not all beekeepers. If I see your video with all beekeepers, I'm going to buzz from far away. Social impact. That comes in many forms, from the team's passion for social impact to the real social impact. Sustainability, this is literally can be sprinkled through the story to the problem, solution, the market. Maybe this is just for people who believe in sustainability now. Everybody else, don't worry about them because you're not going to get them. Your team, please do not sit there in the video and go, my name is Ryan and I am the CEO. My name is Jessica and I'm the Chief Operating Officer. It's like, don't waste your time with that. Tell us, we have an interdisciplinary team that has expertise here and here. Maybe we're also going to formulate more team members that we need. Just make us know that you have the skills to approach what you're doing in your presentation. Now, why would we start and end with a story? It's because there's a law of recency and latency. You remember the first thing that somebody says, not so much in the middle, and then you remember the stuff in the end. So if you tell the story in the beginning, and you tell a story in the end, and somebody is trying to explain your idea to somebody, they can be like, oh, dude, I met this guy. He was like at camp, and then he killed a bee, and he became like a bee murderer. And then he realized that that was like the worst thing, and he was actually killing all of us. And he came up with this idea, and then like now all of a sudden the world can be saved with it. People can repeat your story. They can't repeat your problem solution market. And that's why it's important that you can articulate it. Now also, we're talking about a 3-minute pitch. You can take this same thing and make it into a 30-second pitch. You can use this into a 2-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute, 45-minute presentation. You can use it. There are competitions you'll enter with a 6-minute pitch. You're like, I'm sorry, we have too many people. You're going to have to present in 3 minutes. And you're like, but if you have this, you just expand and retract it. So this is something that you can use and it has usefulness. All right. Does anybody want to give sort of a following this format? Try to do it. Mr. B-Man, you want to try?
Jesus.
All right, come on up. Give him a round of applause. He did not say no. Yeah, get the microphone. Get the microphone. All right. So you're going to look here. This is your confidence monitor, okay? And you're just going to step through it. I will help you transition. Don't get stuck anywhere too soon. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the bee story was real, but you got this, all right?
Real. That's real.
All right. Did you get stung and then get pissed and just kill bees? Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, next up, he's in a box here, okay? Ready, set, go.
Do you like food?
Well, remember, on a video, you can't ask questions.
Right.
So we're just all in little boxes watching you.
Like food? I hope you like food. I know everybody needs food, but our food system is relying on this one very specific insect.
That was time. That was time.
That's it.
Yeah, it was
That's
this. No, that was not. It was a 3-second pitch. That was a 3-second pitch.
Right.
I need to go to my stopwatch and then go. But I want you to actually don't ask a question, but actually be like, make something up, some sort of a bee story, or be like, I don't know. You got this. Ready? Go.
When I was 10 years old, my family got our first beehive. I got stung a couple times. It's part of the experience. I realized that bees are a really foundational part of gardening and food production. Connecting with them is a fun way to, educate yourself and participant in our food system.
But all of my friends kill bees.
But I got this problem with bee murdering. And realized that there are some real problems facing our food system, specifically as they relate to bees.
Boom, transition into the problem.
Bees are dying like crazy, and they have been for 16 years now. Started dying in 2006, colony collapse disorder. I'm not going to use that. Bees have been dying like crazy for over a decade now. We're still struggling to understand what exactly it is causes hives to collapse. We don't really understand why bees are dying. What we need is a better way to monitor our hives.
Transition. Good news. Transition. Good news is
I'm Captain America for bees. No, I'm just kidding.
Not
the good news
is we've got a solution.
We have technology. We have a new product. We have a new system for monitoring the health of your hives and of the bees in your area through innovative solutions and...
Don't give away the secret sauce.
Yep.
Okay, you go on for 20 more seconds. Transition to and say, but this is not for all beekeepers.
But our technology is not for all beekeepers. Massive industrial applications may not be for us. Our focus is on scientific understanding of the unique properties of specific beehives, early intervention for hobbyists and backyard beekeepers to keep their 1 or 2 beehives alive, and for developing our scientific understanding of bees as a species.
Okay, and you might pepper into more stuff about all these other things and with the rubric and stuff, and then transition now to the story, which is the same story in the beginning about your murdering bee friends, and now how they don't murder bees anymore.
We've all turned over a new leaf, right? You know, once you see the inside of a beehive, you got a little bit more empathy for those little girls, and they do a lot of work for our food system, and we really hope to develop a lot more understanding and institutional capacity for understanding beehives and creating a sustainable food system for us all in the future.
Boom! And honestly, that was 2 minutes and 21 seconds after the applause even. 40 more seconds you could actually put in your secret sauce and give some more specifics. So everybody can follow this type of a model, and it gives you a structure that you can work on, okay? Play towards this. Make sure that this is fit in everywhere. And give a pitch, watch the video yourself, ask friends with this rubric, make sure that you're playing to the judges, okay? Click, click. And we talked about pitching as an art form, and it is. And what you're trying to do with this video is influence the judge. And you influence people by 2 specific things. You have to change the way that they think, and you have to get them to take action. So changing the way you think about bees and then letting them know that the action they can take is that this is a viable solution that's believable, it's disruptive, and your team can do it. Influence is an art form, and you now have the paint and the tools to do it. So I'm going to leave you with these 3 rules. If you're feeling it, you can clap along. Maybe we'll start with a little bit of a beat, just slow, not too fast. Okay? Okay, it's slow. Keep it slow. I can teach you how to pitch. You can get funding, can get rich. All you need to do is follow 3 rules like they're treasure clues. First rule is I don't care what you do because I've got problems and so do you. You won't make me interested in minor pain. Please explain your problem in a finger-chop way. Rule number 2, you talk too much like a giddy little kid on a yellow school bus. Start with the what, not with the how. Make it conversational, learn to move your mouth. Rule number 3, create intrigue. Talk about your target market to the nth degree. Tap into the FOMO of the person who is listening. Say everyone, and you will be less interesting. The goal of your pitch is for them to want more. Don't miss opportunity. Knock it at the door. First state the problem, then you say you solve it. And don't forget the market. Now my final question, on a scale of 0 to 10, knowing what you know now, I want you to say out loud how confident you are at putting this 3-minute pitch video together. On the count of 3 together, 1, 2, 3. 10! Boom, you are all set. Now I want to share that we are here to help you. Your teams are going to be finalized by tomorrow. Make sure to get it in. By the way, the first 5 teams registered, you're all going to an escape room. I'll let you know, so that's very cool. Also, you then have until the 30th to submit your video. You can come and meet with us. You can literally show us your video. You can practice. We've got screens. We've got all these things. Don't get caught up on the technology. You can borrow our cameras. You can use an iPhone. You can use Zoom, whatever it is. You're savvy enough to do that. But you have literally up to $25,000 on the line. Because the top 20 teams are moving on to where you'll give a 3-minute pitch in person. And then of those 20 teams, 15 of you will get $1,000, and 5 of you will get $5,000. Then you're moving through the summer where you'll get connected with mentors. Everybody's encouraged to go along. We'll get you entered into capstone programs so that groups of student teams in ICS or CS classes can work on your business. And in December, those 5 teams are competing for 20 grand in cash. And the 15 that got $1,000, you're going to be competing for a wild card to get in on that final competition. So this is a chance to flex your entrepreneurial skills, your muscles, have fun with it. Trust me, there will be team drama, and we can help with that too. Transparent, early, and communication is the way to go. Literally, this is something that you can do, look back on and be like, we built a business, okay? All right, so sustainability means a lot of things to a lot of people, but you here in this room are literally the future of making sure that we have the resources we need, that they're not depleted, that we've got bees, that we've got water bottles, that the trash isn't messing with everything. And it's all for the earth at the end of the day. So in honor of Earth Day, let's crush this. Let's have fun. Let's come up with kick-ass solutions. Let's do our research. Let's practice. And let's all hug the globe. You ready for this? Yeah! I'm ready for this. All right. Now you are all dismissed. You can hang out. I think everybody has teams, so that's cool. But before you go, because you came here, everyone gets ramen. So I'm going to pass these and rip them apart like it's Christmas, and then we're going to take a big photo with everybody with their ramen. Okay? Rip it up like it's Christmas. Get in there. Get in there. Poke it. Poke it. Get it in there. There you go. Okay, in the back. There you go. All right, everybody get their ramen. All right, everybody get, yes. The team name does not have to relate to your idea. You might want it to, or maybe you have a team name, but you have a business name or something like that, right? Yeah. Did everybody get one? No? Give me the box. Throw the boxes up here. Throw the boxes up here. Do we need more? Do we need more? You got it? Did you guys get it over there? All right, that's cool. But what about that dude? You got one? All right. All right. We're going to take a selfie. We're going to take a selfie over here. And before we do, this sustainability challenge happens because, hold on. This sustainability challenge happens because a lot of people care about you, a lot of sponsors. We literally have raised close to $100,000 to put this thing on. So it's very exciting that this is something that people, the community, the university, we have so many sponsors, super exciting. We've got Blackstone Launchpad, we've got the First Republic Bank, we've got Udify, Meta World Peace is behind this, all these tapatillas. We've got the Beal Applied Innovation Center, we've got the Graduate Division, we've got AWS, we've got so many I can't even name them. And so for the live stream, we love you. Say, thank you, sponsors. Thank you, sponsors. And then this wouldn't happen without the people here. So say, thank you, John. Thank you, John. Say, thank you, Hollywood. Thank you, Hollywood. You don't know where he is, that's cool. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Lucretia. Thank you, Lucretia. Thank you, Charup. Thank you, Charup. That's hard. Get the roll on it. Thank you, Charup. All right, did I miss anybody? Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, all right. All right, now we're all thanked. Let's have a selfie. Let's see if we can get everybody in here. Get your ramen on. Okay. I think everybody's in there. Can I zoom out a little more? No? Okay, we got it. Yeah, Jean's on the corner there. Scoot in. Okay, 1, 2. All right, get your zots up with the other hand. All right, and here we are at the workshop for the Sustainability Challenge. and we're full of anteaters who are going to change the world, and they're going to do it with the power of entrepreneurship. On the count of 3, show your sustainability Zot force. 1, 2, 3. We'll see you as we save the world. All right, you are free to hang out. You're free to go. We'll be kicking it. We also are getting this is the first announcement ever. We are getting an air hockey table. It'll be here Monday. Yeah, be in the back. We got ping pong. We got ramen. We got snacks. Well, don't worry about it. Okay, but literally, you can come work out of here. You can use office space out of here. We got a 3D printers if you want to do that. Whatever the resources that you need, let us know. We'll hook you up. This is going to be big. All right, we'll turn on some music if you want to hang out. Otherwise, get out of here. All right, you did excellent.
I made him do everything.
That was good. It was good. Hey.
Great content. The energy is fantastic. It's awesome.
It was good, right?
Super excited I got here at the beginning of this whole process.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll follow along.
All right. Thanks, dude. Everybody say thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
And you can attack him to be a mentor right now. There you go.